The conspiracy theories are everywhere. Today, we have the worst calls of the 2023 season. And come on, the refs had to call some of these intentionally, right? You'd almost hope they were intentional, or else it would mean they were legally blind. Now, we already went over the Detroit-Dallas end-of-game two-point conversion fiasco in an earlier video, so we won't include that one here. Instead, we have all the other absolute worst calls in 2023. But actually, was there a worse call than the Detroit-Dallas disaster? Involving the same ref and a certain former MVP? This is the Gridiron. Week 16, Cowboys and Dolphins. There's many shared theories when it comes to the NFL, like certain teams and players get calls that others wouldn't. Dallas is a team said to benefit from such things, and theorists would point to the Detroit-Dallas debacle as a perfect example. Well, don't worry, the Cowboys get the short end of the stick too. On Christmas Eve, Dallas was playing Miami. Nearing the end of the first half, Miami had the ball and was nearing the end zone, down 7-6. On a critical 3rd and 1, Tua Tagovailoa dropped back to pass. Micah Parsons pursued Tua, and Tua got rid of the ball just before Micah got to him. And then, the call. Roughing the passer? How? Granted, Tua released the ball and Micah hit him after, but barely. The guy was running full steam. He couldn't stop on a dime. You have to give him a little runway. And the announcers even said as much in the broadcast.
In the pocket, the defender has up until his second step to make forcible contact. This to me looks like it's within 2 steps. He goes to the body. I just don't see a foul here.
As you can clearly see, Micah is within those 2 steps by the time he hit Tua. And he didn't full body tackle Tua either. He just hit him with his 2 hands. We know Micah's a strong guy, but did Tua exaggerate that a little? Quarterbacks get overprotected as it is, and given Tua's injury history, people think he was being overprotected. This penalty led to a Dolphins touchdown in a game where they won 22-20, so this was no small call. Week 11, Vikings and Broncos. So you get it by now. Quarterbacks always get the benefit of the doubt, right? Correction. Only the star quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt. When you are Josh Dobbs, constant backup, constantly shuffled from team to team, sorry bud, no benefit for you. When Dobbs and his Vikings took on the Broncos in Week 11, he got popped by defender Kareem Jackson. Dobbs lost the ball and Denver recovered. But take a look at that hit that Jackson gave him. Lowered his helmet and made forcible contact. Chris Collinsworth saw the replay and immediately deferred to Terry McAulay so he could explain what the right call was. As McAulay explained, this should have been a 15-yard penalty. So instead of the Vikings keeping the ball and moving ahead 15 yards, they lost the ball in a turnover that should have never counted. But Josh Dobbs isn't a household name, so they won't make a call for him, will they? Also, Kareem Jackson had just come back from a 2-game suspension for his hit on Luke Musgrave. He's a repeat offender. How could the refs not call this? Week 16, Jets and Commanders. Another Christmas Eve game was between the Commanders and Jets, and apparently Santa wanted to give everyone flags for Christmas. In a game filled with questionable PI calls against the Jets, came the confounding no call when a Washington defender blatantly took Breece Hall to the ground. I guess Santa emptied his bag already. There were no more flags left to throw. No one can say the Washington defender doesn't wrap up when he tackles. The only problem is when you tackle before the offensive player even has the ball, tends to be a pass interference, right? The replay is so damning. You can see the defender latch onto Breece and whip him to the ground. The ball is still in the air. It might have even still been ascending. What's the deal? Aaron Rodgers goes out with an injury and the league decides that the Jets receivers aren't even worthy of getting pass interference calls? Week 11. Browns and Steelers. This next one is a double whammy, and in more ways than one. The first is that you have a Steelers-Browns matchup, and of course the Steelers have been a league favorite since its inception. The Browns, not so much. The Browns get no respect, and the Steelers, even with their multiple years of barely breaking a 500 record, still get loads of respect. On this play, Myles Garrett got zero respect. Pittsburgh thought one mere mortal could block him, but he barreled down at Kenny Pickett and sacked him in the end zone. That's a safety, right? It sure looks like Pickett was in the end zone when he got tackled, but the refs ruled he was just barely out of the end zone. Alright, doesn't look like it, but we'll admit it, it was close. Until you see the next play. The Browns tackled the Steelers in the end zone again. Najee Harris was the ball carrier this time, but the refs didn't signal for a safety. Again! Once more, they ruled that the player was out of the end zone. The Browns basically did the impossible. They got a safety on back-to-back plays, but the refs didn't give it to them on either occasion. What does Cleveland have to do to earn some respect? Week 16, Giants and Eagles. The Eagles were just in Super Bowl 57 and came into the 2023 season as one of the favorites to get back there. And they started the year off strong, 10-1. But then the strangest collapse started to unfold right before America's eyes. Like the entire team was a fraud and they were finally found out. They went 1-5 in their last 6 games, limped into the playoffs, and lost to the Bucs in the first round. But they weren't just losing close games at the end of the regular season, they were losing badly. People didn't want to believe it. People didn't want to see them miss the playoffs. Most of all, the league didn't want to see that. That's why, in that last 1-5 stretch at the end of the year, it looked like the refs were helping the Eagles get that solitary win. Philadelphia was only up 33-25 against the Giants on a Christmas Day matchup. There was half a minute remaining and the Giants were past midfield. Tyrod Taylor threw one deep for Wan'Dale Robinson, and Bradley Roby was on the coverage. On the mauling. He was all over Robinson. He completely prevented Robinson from coming back to the ball and forced him to fall to the ground. Why does Roby wear number 33? Is that the number of times he's going to put his hands on the receiver before the ball arrives? And of course, the refs swallowed their whistles, hid their flags, and tried to usher everyone along to the next play. Couldn't let the Eagles lose again. Not on Christmas Day. Week 13, Packers and Chiefs. Of all the teams that are favorites to get special treatment, enter the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Mahomes is incredible, but maybe let's not give him any more help. The league's trying to make him invincible. In a game against the Packers, Mahomes was running with the ball and heading for the sidelines, trying to get as much yardage as he could. Jonathan Owens of the Packers was closing in on him and hit him at the sideline. The flag flew and the ref announced,
after the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 34, 15 yards, automatic first down.
But hold on. After the play was over, Mahomes was still in bounds when he got hit. The play was still going on. We understand they have to protect quarterbacks, but if Mahomes isn't sliding or jumping out of bounds and is a runner trying to get more yards, then he is going to get tackled, plain and simple. The Packers defender didn't even make a malicious hit. It was so benign. What more could the guy have done? Is he just supposed to let Mahomes run for as many yards as he wants? And hold on, rewind it. Doesn't that ref look familiar? Is that the same ref that made the call against the Lions' 2-point conversion? How does this guy still have a job? Look, some calls will just be missed. Some calls will be wrong, it happens. But when the calls are so blatantly wrong or missing, it's a concern. The game of football should stay between two teams. We don't need another team in black and white trying to affect the outcomes.